Hello. Okay, so we are here with our podcast. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening next door. So you've got me, I'm Eliza Dolly. I'm from the Woodcraft Folk, which is one of the partner organisations of IFM from the United Kingdom near Liverpool, but I'm not a Scouser. Who am I here with?
Hello everyone, hello listeners. I'm Goran from Serbia, from organization Youth Alliance Serbia, and we will talk about the main problems of racism.
Hello everyone, I am Maaruf. Hello Eliza, hello Goran.
Hello Maaruf.
Maaruf, Palestinian from Israel. We will talk about casual racism. Yeah. Happy to be here. I hope that we will enjoy.
Hello everyone, I am Naam from Israel. I'm 20 years old. I am from Asia.
So our podcast that we decided to make is going to be a kind of guide on how to be an ally 101. When we were kind of discussing racism, and when we were dealing with the project, which we all kind of met on, which is choosing anti-racism, we kind of reflected on ourselves and how we come from, a very, very privileged situation, and how, so I know the area that I live in, I really don't see much racism because it is a very white privileged area. And Goran, you were saying the same. Yeah.
Of course, I will say the same.
Yeah.
We face racism everywhere, anywhere in the world. So it's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah. We felt like we really didn't have any kind of experiential stories, and we just felt a little bit kind of behind in learning about how to be an ally and how we can support people. So we thought we would bring in some guests, we would do some interviews, we kind of learn more ourselves from them, and we would teach you guys a little bit about what is going on and what's actually happening within the world and how racism is affecting people. And then we're just going to teach you how to be an ally. We teach you how to not be racist. No, it should be good. We've got some really interesting guests. We're going to look at the topics of education, migration, feminism. But before we do start, we want to say a huge thank you to the International Falcon Movement, Socialist Education International, for hosting this project, for hosting this podcast, for giving us the space to be able to meet each other and learn about these experiences, and also the space for us to share this. And we also want to give a big thank you to the North-South Centre and the European Youth Council, because without all of these organisations, we wouldn't be sat on this beautiful blue sofa today. Let's get on with the interview.
Yeah.
So,
As we know, you're born in London, but now you live in France. And my first question will be, are there actually differences in people's behavior towards you in London and in France?
So definitely in London, there's much less racism. Because there's much more diversity, people are more used to seeing people of other colours, other races, other cultures. So people are more open-minded, and they're less surprised. For them, it's more normal. So yeah, there's much less racism in London than in France.
But do you think that your experience of race is influenced more by the country, UK or France, or the city that you are in, London, is larger place than place you live now?
Yeah, I'd say it's influenced by London because of all the diversity, how big it is. It's not like a tiny village in France where there's no coloured people and not many people, and they're in the middle of nowhere, so they don't really see other people, other cultures, so they're not used to it.
When you experience racism, how does it affect your self-confidence, and does it make you more motivated?
Definitely not. When I experience racist comments, it makes you feel like comment by comment, it lowers your self-esteem, it lowers your confidence, it makes you feel less of a person. So yeah, it definitely doesn't even
That's really sad.
faces.
Have you ever held yourself back in something because you thought that being different would make it difficult for you?
So
Like auto racism, because held yourself back because you're different
in sports,
in everything, in education. Yeah.
well, I haven't held myself back, but when I'm skiing, alpine skiing, I wear a balaclava and the mask so people can't see my skin color. But does that count? Not really. Most people who ski are very racist in where I live in France. So like, I'd rather they don't see at all.
I'm so sorry because you are think about that. In those moments, can you describe to me the ideal help or ally?
So as an example, when I'm in school and someone says a racist comment, I'm like, it's during the break and there's everyone. If there's just one person that says something, it makes such a big difference. Sometimes I had a friend that was like, no, come on guys, don't say that. It's not good. And then everyone's like, oh, okay. And surprisingly, one person makes a massive difference. If you're that one person who says, oh, no guys, you go to the rest of the group, you're like, no guys, don't say that, it's not acceptable, like it's not cool. Then they're like, next time they think a bit more before saying it, because they know someone else will support you.
Okay, that's it. That's all my questions.
Okay, hi guys. We have the next two people that we'll be interviewing. Who the hell are you? Who have we got here?
I'm Ben, I'm 16, I'm from England, representing IFM with the Woodcraft folk. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm Hanna, I come from Romania, I'm 18 years old. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you a lot.
Okay, I will start.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Eliza.
Hello, Maaruf.
So, Ben, I will start with you. First of all, thank you for presenting yourself. I would like to ask you about example or story that you would like to share with us about casual racism.
Well, there is a lot of casual racism, for example, in my school and also my family. I'll use this place. I was doing the application for this trip. I thought I'd share what I was going to write on the application with my dad. So I thought it would be interesting. I started with, I recognize my white privilege, and he laughed at me. And I tried to explain, how it's important to recognize the privileges we have, especially since the majority of people where I live is white. And he told me white privilege doesn't exist. My brother told me white privilege doesn't exist. I had to try to explain to them what it actually is, because to me it sounded like they didn't know, and they just wouldn't listen. So I had a long debate with them, and then they brought the argument about black privilege to do with quotas, which I think was stupid. I just think the fact that they can laugh that off so easily, being, a white person in such a white majority area is really sad. And I think we need to find a way to change it, find a way to stop casual racism, because the more kind of racism it's going to be passed on. So, for example, if I didn't have you as a sister or my mum, because you're both not racist and you've brought me up like that, I could follow in their footsteps because I wouldn't know any different. So I'm lucky to have, you guys to keep me sane. But I just think the fact that there are other families doing that and the kids are just going to listen to them.
I would like to ask one more question. Did they affect your application?
No, I still wrote the exact same thing. I realised I wrote about my white privilege. I wrote that I actually don't know much about racism. I'll be honest, it's something I want to learn more about, which is why I've come here. I want to be able to spread it to the people, because people where I live, for example, like my dad and my brother, because they both believe that they are not racist, even though they say the N-word, they don't believe in white privilege, and it's so obvious that their views on other races and stuff like that it's obviously, a racist belief. And I think also people in my school need to learn more about it, so I could do an assembly on it. And I think I think the assemblies we've had on racism aren't as effective as they could be, because they might focus on like, you know, racism all around the world and like institutional racism, structural racism. So I'm going to focus in on interpersonal racism, because that's the one you see mostly around school.
Okay, Ben, I wish if we have more time to ask you more questions. It's interesting topic, but for now I want to thank you about you sharing your story, and I would like to give the floor to Eliza.
Thank you, Maaruf. Thank you, Bean, for sharing. Before I interview Hannah, I'd just like to speak a little tiny bit more about casual racism and how we do see it in schools. How do you feel like it is presented within schools and students?
Well, I just think that there are a lot of people that do it. People make jokes about it. People, and they say they're not racist because of it. So, like, for example, I think in my whole year there's one black person, maybe 8 to 10 Indian people.
Yeah.
I think, like, the rest are probably white, or there may be a couple others. But people make jokes about those groups, like a lot of people. And I had jokes about, like, because all the people that are Indian, they like to stay together, and people bully their group for being a minority. A lot of people go around just saying the M-word, and it's not as much just racism as homophobia, sexism. And I just think the fact that they think they can, you know, brush it off because it's a joke, even though some people are even more serious with it as well. They say they're not joking, and they actually mean what they say. But even the people that are joking, it's still racism.
Yeah.
So the fact that, like, people were tell them off, people were, you know, make them realize what's wrong. Like, I don't think a detention is enough. For example, someone was bullying a black person, they called them the M-word online, they got a detention on the weekend. And I think that really isn't enough. I think they should be put in a lesson about like, anti-racism.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think really what we wanted to speak about with casual racism is the fact that it can be so hidden through jokes and through comments saying, I'm not racist, but is the fact that even though it seems small and minor compared to other acts of racism, it still is, and you have to start with that and start challenging that to make any difference, and even commenting to someone that what they're doing is incorrect. Well, that's the start of a movement. You know, any change is good change. Right, Hannah, you ready for your interview? I am. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to have you here. So what me and Hannah are going to discuss is racism within feminism, really. I think this was something that we both feel quite passionate about, because you do have areas of feminism that really kind of exclude people of colour. And with feminism, it should be something that is exclusive to people of, you know, different races, people who are LGBTQ. Hannah, can you speak a bit about this? Can you speak about your experience as a person of colour and as a woman?
Maybe just like the first time that I experienced racism was as a kid. It was in school, from like other girls, because, for example, they didn't want to play with me because of, you know, my hair. My hair was like a long insecurity of mine, because it was like always like puffy, like always big. Everyone else had like this long hair, this shiny hair. And I remember one time I was in kindergarten or school, and the girls were like playing or talking or something, and they just didn't want to like have me there. And that was like the first time that I like really felt different, and like I really felt bad about myself. I struggled a lot with like just wanting to be white as them, because the country that I live in is like white country. Maybe like now, when I was a teenager, I just see such a different point of view on feminism, because, for example, my schoolmates are like talking about feminism in such a different way because they're white. And sometimes I just don't feel like included in that. For example, they're talking about, oh yeah, I don't know, the wage is not like the same, or just like I don't know, like about makeup, or it's not that deep. Like
It is that deep though, you know. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it is on a surface level, but
yeah, but I just don't, you know, I don't feel included because they're not seeing my, like, you know, problems, I would say. They're not seeing, like, me as, like, life woman, being, like, a minority, I guess. Because, for example, I don't know, like, my teacher, for math is extremely racist. Like, his comments are very questionable. And all the girls, and he said, like, when he says something, like, against women, they're all like, oh my God, how can you say that? And they, like, confront him about it. But when he said, like, racist comments about, like, skin color, for example, once he said, like, every single person in the world is happy except, like, Africans. Because, well, I don't know why. And no one, like, held him accountable. Like, they were literally laughing. Like, the girls were literally laughing. And they usually hold him accountable for, like, the things he says, like, against women, you know. So I don't feel as included in, like, the feminism as maybe, like, my classmates. So
I think, you know, from my perspective as a white woman in a very, you know, privileged white area, it's something that I'm so aware is not spoken enough about in feminist spaces. I feel like the resources that we're given, you know, the podcasts and books, media especially, it's very kind of overshadowed, kind of what's going on. And, you know, as you were saying, it's something that does need to be spoken about and people do need to be kept accountable. The whole, you know, idea around feminism is that we're meant to be in this together. We are meant to be this force, you know, changing the way that we are being treated and stopping things that have happened in the past happening again. We want it to be a better world for women, yet somehow I feel like with this exclusion of people of colour and, you know, other minority groups, as I mentioned, LGBTQ, we're kind of going backwards with it. What do you think we can do? How do you think we can fight this and make women of colour feel more comfortable within our societies?
I just think maybe, like, realizing that not just your problems are, you know, relevant, maybe just, like, realizing that other people of other races have also different problems and that they should be speaking about it.
Yeah.
Because they have a privilege. They're still women. They still feel like less, you know, important than men. But I think they should still look at their privilege and, you know, just, like, talk about the struggles that, like, you know, colored women go through. And maybe just, like, as your friend, your, you know, acquaintance, maybe, as they feel like, you know, targeted, if they feel, just maybe ask them, how can I help? You know, because I can speak for all women, with what I would want from my friends is just, like, to speak up when someone says the N-word, speak up when I feel uncomfortable, and maybe when I don't speak up, just ask me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just, like, you know, share the word, share, I don't know, different, like, you know, on Instagram, share stories, and share, not just stories of, like, stories of people, experiences,
Yeah.
Watch more, you know, not black made, but, like, colored made films or moocs.
Well, I think what we really want from you to get out with this podcast, I think with all of the interviews that we've done, is conversation that needs to be had. And we've really based the entire podcast around the fact that we are aware that we have this privilege, but racism is happening, and it is happening in small ways and it's happening in large ways, and some of it is spoken about and some of it isn't. And I just don't feel like there is enough rage from the people who are witnessing it, from the people who aren't involved. It's so easy for us who aren't having to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, who aren't dealing with the repercussions of what, you know, people have faced throughout history, to turn a blind eye we all want this idealistic world that it doesn't have racism, but we do, and it is happening. We need to do something. And I think commenting to a friend, don't make that joke. You can't say that word. Turning around to someone, are you okay? What problems are you actually facing? What's going on with you? And how can I help? I really think that's what we wanted to say. How can we, with our privilege, support? And what can we do to make a change? Because, it's a fight, it's a war against racism. And this should be something that we're all involved with. And we're not. And I think listening to kind of these experiences that we've got from all 4 people that we've interviewed really is so eye-opening for me. And so devastating and hard to hear that this is something that you guys are having to face and you're having to deal with. But I'm hoping, I think we're all hoping, that with this podcast we can advise, because it's easy to go, oh, I'm not racist, but that's not good enough.
Yeah, you have to be anti-racist. Yeah, as if you're not racist, you just are nothing.
Yeah, it's and I get when people say, oh, I'm too shy, I don't want to call someone out. Well, then don't call someone out. Always put your safety first. But there are so many different ways that you can combat and challenge the issue. You can speak to the person afterwards. You can get someone else in who can aid and who can help you. You can post on social media. You can go off and start a conversation and hold people accountable. It's something that needs to be done. And I hope with this podcast, we have inspired people to be able to do that. And I'd just like to say thank you so much for both of you for coming in. I say thank you to Maaruf as well.
For Eliza. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Hannah. It was really nice, and thank you for sharing.
And I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of our listeners out there. Thank you, guys. I hope that we've given you something to think about, and I hope you go off and you start that conversation.